So what's up, y'all? So now I could tell the truth about, or not necessarily, I mean it's true, but y'all seen the last situation where I was talking about due process. I was breaking that down, and then I was breaking down the liberal Karen video, which should have been due process. That there should have been better due process on that. Much better due process. When you let somebody go and you're just saying you're just gone, they never ever said why. And yeah, it's an at-will state. They don't necessarily have to. But what I could have done in that situation was write to the Department of Labor. You see what I'm saying? I could have opened up another case with the EEOC based on what happened, the way how that manager was doing, the berating and things of that nature. So remember, I was showing y'all what happened with the refresh project back in 2010, and I showed y'all the paperwork. You seen that was on Department of Human Rights. So here's what really happened. I'll try to break this down quickly. Hopefully it's not going to be very, very long or I'm interrupted. I'm using my Apple phone tonight. So what ended up happening was I signed on for a contract in 2010. This is my first migration project when Minnehaha One Stop Shop closed. What I ended up doing was around, I think it was August 2010. Yep, it was August 2010. I'm trying to remember what car that I had during that time. I think I might have had the 89 Marquis. I think at that time. I think I had an 89 Marquis. Or, let me think. Damn, what was I driving around that time? Or I might have had the Regency with the leather seats. I might have had that. One of the two. I definitely didn't have the Dodge Spirit because that was in 08. So I'm just trying to think about the cars and stuff like that, and maybe what was out. Also in 2010, around that time, I was listening to Midwest box frame Cadillac music. You see what I'm saying? So that was Gangsta Gibbs stuff, and I think around 2010, the Straight Killer No Filler EP came out on Def Con. Because I think that's what I was listening to around that time, real heavy. I was listening to that and some other stuff too, and that Bullets Ain't Got No Names with Neighborhood Nip. That's what I was listening to around that time. I think it was Volume 1 or Volume 2, one of those volumes. So I was listening to that around that time. So I'm driving out. I'm going out to Bloomington, which is the suburb of Minneapolis. And the staffing agency was in Vadnais Heights. That's where I signed on. That's why I never forgot that place, because that was my second time going out to Vadnais Heights within a few years. The first time was when I was a new hire coordinator in 2008, where I was telling y'all about Trailer Trash Bob and all of that, which was a couple months before I opened the shop. I was going out to West River Road, Vadnais Heights, downtown Minneapolis. And that was kind of, if you go back to the story time of the tall and fine, story time. So August 2010, I'm going out there to the client in Bloomington, and y'all can look up the name if you want. But I think around that time I might have been making 17 or it was 20 an hour. It was something, I can't remember what it was. But back then, that was decent. That was like super decent. It wasn't, it didn't feel like no chump change at the time. So I'm going out there. I'm installing Windows XP, I believe. They were still using Windows XP. I don't think it was 7 yet. It might have been 7, but I'm quite sure it was Windows XP. So I'm going out there. Right when I walk in the door, my first day, I think I was getting some breakfast, or I might have been buying lunch out there because they had a cafeteria. And I was, like I said, I was just trying to get back to work. The shop just closed in March. I was still doing my computer repair, but I knew I had to get back to work to continue my career. Okay. And I'll break this down even more so in the podcast as we go along. But I'm just giving y'all, what I can remember what off the top of my head. Old Asian lady was working there. She pulls me to the side at the lunch table. She says, "How long you been up here?" I said, "I'm new, I'm a contractor." And she pulled me to the side and whispered in my ear. She said, "They don't have too many of y'all up here." In so many words, they don't have no black folks. She pulled me close to her ear and she said, "They don't have too many of y'all up in here." She said, "You gotta watch these folks." She was talking about race soldiers. That's what this old Asian lady, she said on my second day or whatever, because she seen me and she kind of looked like she just like did a double take. Like she ain't used to seeing black folks up in there. That's why when she pulled me to the side, she said, "You need to watch these folks up in here." She said, ain't a whole lot of y'all up in here. And so I was kind of like, and that's the kind of vibe it was. It was a real vibe. It's way in the hundreds. So yeah, they don't want y'all making too many bags up in a place like that. That was like so you install all of the applications and the refresh projects. You do all that in the basement. So there was a SCCM guy. He was a contractor, white dude, and a system administrator, which was a SCCM guy. I tried not to ask them too many questions because they always seemed like they were too busy. I tried to, learn about SCCM and learn about all kind of different stuff as much as I could because I was going to take this and try to go somewhere. So I'm doing, I'm installing the apps. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. It's very simple. All you got to do is just pretty much hit a few buttons and then just move on to the next thing and then stack them. That's all we were doing all the time. Now, I told the recruiting agency early on that, I was planning on thinking about having a surgery because I tore my rotator cuffs in those 2 accidents. Remember, I had one accident in around August 08, and then I had another one in March 09. So it was pretty much one injury that came right after each other. You see what I'm saying? So in terms of the lawyer, let me tell you, I used the same lawyer for both accidents. You see what I'm saying? But it was one of those cases where it's like, okay, you got injured with this first car accident, then you got injured like almost a year later, if that. So, their fight, the insurance company's like, hey, you know what I'm saying? This like the same injury. We ain't trying to pay or whatever like that. But I won both cases. I got cashed out in both cases. So, the recruiting agency told the client he's getting ready to have surgery. It's cool. They said talk to the project manager. They didn't want to ask the client. They sent me. So I talked to the project manager. Told her what's going on. She said, how long you gonna be out? I said, "It's a couple days. It's a few days." You know what I'm saying? Because I would have it on a Friday and then I'm right back on Monday. Is there any lifting restrictions? Doc says, no. You get maybe like 20, 30 pounds not above your head. You know what I'm saying? So they said, okay, cool. So mind you, I was there about maybe a month, maybe 3 weeks to a month. And everything's going fine. Now, mind y'all, these are brand new damn computers. They are brand new computers. There's no reason for you to clean them or spray or do none of that. Let me tell you what happened. So, I'm at home. I'm still living off Lake Street on Minnehaha. Man, remember I told you in my book, I shit you not, literally. I'm sitting on the toilet. My phone rings. I had a little flip phone, a little Virgin Mobile, I think, at that time. My phone rings. Oh, I'm sorry to say, they let you go. Now, this is after I got home. They didn't do this during that time when I was at work. They waited until the end of the day. Like, it was past 5 o'clock. It was way past the time that I drove back home. Because remember, I worked out in Bloomington and I stayed over south, so it wasn't too bad of a drive. You take 35 all the way to the hundreds. The recruiting agency says, oh, it has nothing to do with your performance. Absolutely nothing. This is because they're afraid that you have a disability or you getting ready to have a surgery. I said, well, they already cleared that. They said it's cool. Oh, but they just don't want to be liable, blah, 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 blah. So I said, can you put that on paper? Can you email me this? She said, I'll email it. She emailed me, say the contract ended. So I replied back like the next day. I said, what you told me over the phone and what you emailed me is two different things. So my attorney for my shoulder injury, I said, call her up. I said, because I just want, what I wanted was, hey, if y'all are saying I can't work this job because of this injury I got, that I'm supposed to have surgery, the lady that hit me, the insurance company, y'all need to be liable for that. I need like 70 to 100 bands. I need a bag, because this position was gonna put me up in the 50, 60, $70,000 range. And once I learn that SCCM stuff and packaging, I might be into the 85, 100. That's how I was thinking. I said, okay, I wasn't really trying to fight them. I wasn't really trying to attack them. I said, hey, look, I told my lawyer, call up the recruiting agency and holler at them about that and see what you could do. You know what she does? She the lawyer calls up the staffing agency and says, you know, what's going on? Oh, well, they letting him go because of a disability. Now, once she said that, that's actually breaking the law. If you're saying that I have a disability, that's a violation. I wasn't tripping on that. Just let him know, let the lawyer know that, so he could go back to these insurance company people and let them know, hey, this man done lost his job because he got to have surgery. Y'all gotta break bread. That car accident caused this to happen. This isn't a car accident that I caused. This is a lady running in a legal lane on This is a lady running in a legal lane on 66 and Nicollet over there by Foot Locker in Richfield. She did all that. You see what I'm saying? And remember, hit my my two-door LeSabre. The one I was gonna drop the motor in and throw the blades on it and spray it. She did all of that, and I was on my way to work. I said, okay, cool. She talks to him. He calls me back. He's like, yeah, man. She admits, you know, it had nothing to do with performance. Blah 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 blah. I said, well, but he said, you know, that's hearsay. That's on the phone. This ain't recorded. That's hearsay. He said, but I will write an affidavit. I will sign that. I will say that this conversation. So now that's probable cause. So now I'm still trying to get information from the staffing agency. Like, hey, you need to put this on paper. This has nothing to do with performance. This is because this disability. She keeps dodging me and dodging me and dodging me. And I'm like, man. So I go and I think I filed my unemployment or whatever like that. I'm a little irritated. So I call unemployment. I tell them what happened. Unemployment, like, man, this don't sound right. They said you were getting ready to have surgery and they already offered to let you, you know, heal a couple days. You come right back to work the next week. And unemployment was like, hey, this sound like they violated your rights, bro. I said, really? They were like, man, that sound like that ain't right due process. I mean, he said it's an at-will state, but if they're claiming it's a disability, that's against federal law. You might want to talk to the Department of Labor. So this is how I found out. This is why I'm giving y'all that game in my second book. And in my first, I gave y'all a lot about that. That's why I be so adamant about how these folks be playing with folks. A lot of black folks don't know this. So they said, you need to talk to the Department of Labor. I called up the Department of Labor. Here's the rule. If you requested as to why from the staffing agency or whatever job lets you go, if you request within, I think, 7 days or 15 or something, I think it's 7 days. If you made a written request that you could prove, a written request is considered to be an email, right? If you make a written request as to why they let you go, you did all you were supposed to do. Whether they tell you or not, you requested that. So I showed the Department of Labor that screenshot. And I said, I requested it several times. She didn't hit me back. They said, no, you know what? Don't worry about it. We're going to look into this. They said they're going to respond to us. Now they got to respond to the Department of Labor within 30 days. Or you know what happens? They get fined. Okay. So Department of Labor hit me back after a couple weeks like, hey, they said you got let go because your allergies was bad and you couldn't spray compressed air uh to clean up the computers. I'm like, wait a minute, them computers was brand new. You see what I'm saying? There wasn't no camera phones around that time. Like if I would have had a phone like this, man, please, I would have showed the work we're doing. That's why sometimes you got to document stuff. Like you don't think people gonna do stuff like this, but man, you got to protect yourself. I'm telling you, because like I say, around this time wasn't no cameras and there was no way for me to be able to prove this beyond a shadow of doubt. So that was their rebuttal to the Department of Labor. So now the Department of Labor is like, okay, well, Derek, what you said, and then the Department of Labor could confirm that they also talked to my lawyer about what the staffing agency said. They said, wait a minute, something ain't right. Somebody lying. So this is probable cause for them to look into this. So they done wrapped in the EEOC. So now this is a due process. 5th Amendment, 14th Amendment. Okay. Now your equal protection of the law and your due process is coming up. That's what the EEOC is for. So now they steady lying. Then they done roped in the co-worker. The co-worker lying too. Derek wasn't performing. He wasn't doing this right. But remember, the staffing agency initially said that it wasn't performance. So they got to they're looking over the co-worker and they're looking over the client at this point because they're like, okay, this is a standing lawyer. He's not going to lie about this. The lawyer was for a damn car accident case. He has nothing. There's no dog in the fight. So they kind of looked at what he said and said, well, he did talk to the staffing agency and he confirmed that it had nothing to do with performance. It was strictly because of my torn rotator cuff. So now the Department of Labor and them is going, or the EEOC, now they wrap in the Department of Human Rights. They're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. These folks steady lying. They coming up with all these lies. After a while, the department, after maybe like a year or two or something, the Human Rights said, hey, look, man, you're going to have to cut him some bread because what y'all saying and what he did with the evidence, I had dates, I had names and addresses. I was taking names and addresses. All of this stuff that he's saying, it doesn't make sense that Derek would lie about this and that this lawyer would lie. And that's what happened, y'all. And some bread was cut. They had to cut a check. I'm not going to say how much that check was, but they had to cut a check because they was wrong. Now, if I would have took it to trial, sometimes you lose and you didn't, but there was enough probable cause right there, and like I said, I wasn't lying at all. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't lying at all. I would have wished I would have had a lot more. I would have wished, for something like that, because they gotta look. I guess they looking at pain and suffering and stuff like that too. But I wish they would have been like, all right, man, we gonna $250,000, and I would have been straight. Yeah, that would set me up for life. Quarter ticket. I would have been straight. I wish they would have, I wish it would have been something like, but that probably would have only worked if I would have been like maybe permanent and they played and did something like that. And then I would have been working years there because they're looking at how long you've been working there. They're looking at how long you've been working there because the EEOC and all them, they gonna take their piece too because their lawyers got to work it. I mean, if I could show y'all the paperwork, the back and forth and how long all this stuff was going on, you would have been like, so like I say, I won't say the company. If y'all do your own research, it's public. But sorry, I just taste some rice. Yeah, taste some rice real quick. Okay, so man, look, if I would have had a quarter ticket, I'd probably still be talking to y'all. But I'll probably be on a flight at a cybersecurity conference or something like that, giving out scholarships to the freedmen. That's probably what I'll be doing right now. Yeah. Life will be just a little different. Not much. It'd be a little different. But no, that's what they did. They played those kind of games. And y'all heard the last one with the liberal Karens. Man, shout out to y'all that's been watching that video, because that video going up. It's a lot more than what I had. You know, I'm not looking at, oh, I'm getting 1,000 views a day or 2,000, 3,000, whatever. Look, man, I want a certain kind of elite folks. And I don't mean elite by your bank account and because you done got some damn NAACP award or some luncheon. I'm talking about, like, you know, a group, a repository, a good black folks, and anybody want to watch it, specifically black folks that, you know, that y'all see these kind of things that happen in the workplace and whatnot, or you want to get into IT, or you want to talk about it or whatnot. But I'm telling you, that was an experience that happened in 2010, and I think they make you sign. They make you sign something where you can't say that they was at fault or something. I don't know what it is. It's like a settlement. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not. The staffing agency was the most at fault, because here's why. The client could do whatever they want. The client's not my employer. You see what I'm saying? Now, the EEOC, they fight the client because they're saying those are the people that infringe your rights. My beef was with the agency because they're the ones that started this. Now, they're going to protect the client. Naturally, I know that. Let's follow logic, y'all. Let's put on a logic cap. The client is going to protect the $1 million. The agency, the staffing agency, is going to protect the $1 million client. They don't give a damn about some nigga from the South Side that working on a computer. That's simply lemonade fire. The strawberry kind, I ain't talking about the lemonade with the strawberry. I'm talking about just the strawberry kind. Put a little bit of lemon juice in there, filter water, oh, you straight. The client, the staffing agency is always going to take sides of the client, even if the client's bogus. Even if they're doing something that ain't right against you, they're going to take their side. Don't ever think that they won't. They're going to take their side. But they broke the law, right? You know, they broke the law. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. You see what I'm saying? They committed a crime. They broke a federal law. And they knew they did. They knew it. But they're like, well, he's a contractor, so he's a nobody. He's a contractor, so what is he going to do? He just going to get his little unemployment, and he just going to keep it moving like the average nigga going to do. He'll complain. They said, okay, he's going to complain. He's going to fume. He going to talk about racism and Black Lives Matter, and that nigga going to go away. That's what they were barking on. They were like, okay, we ain't going to hear from him again. We're not even going to be under the books. This ain't never going to reach the Department of Labor and Human Rights. They just knew that. You see what I'm saying? Because they figured the amount of time that he could be using to try to fight us, he could be done found another gig. You see? And it was a while till I landed something else. It was a little while. I think that was when I started going out to Burnsville. Ended up in the 90s and the 100s anyway. You see what I'm saying? And if you link this to the Burnsville story, I was out there. You see what I'm saying? So I ended up finding something permanent that year. You know, so that was, matter of fact, towards the end of that year, I think that's when I had the Park Avenue. I bought like an 89 Park Avenue after I had my marquee or something, which I should have just kept my marquee. But in my mind, I always wanted to have 2 cars. I had this fear that I wasn't ever going to be able to get to work. But I made, you know, just being kind of young and dumb, I had access to a lot of money. I made a lot of stupid financial decisions. You know what I'm saying? Those years, that 2010, 2011, when I made some decisions that I shouldn't have made. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, it was one of them kind of things where working out there at that place in Bloomington, and really I should have just got back with Robert Half. Eventually that's what happened the next year when I started my Windows 7 migrations. I called them up. You see what I'm saying? That was around, was that 2012, my first Windows 7 migration? I think that was 2012. Because majority of the year 2010 and 2011, I was working at I was out there in Burnsville. Then I did a little bit of work. I think I did a little bit of work for a managed service company. I think that was, what year was that? Was that 2012? Or a late 2011? No. Well, let me think. I don't think that was. Because when I left the Burnsville position, remember when I left the Burnsville position, I went downtown just for a little while. And that's when I met the sister from Chicago, where the DEI stuff was going on, where the DEI worked out for the white girl right in front of me. The bachelor degree sister in Chicago. Y'all go back and look at my storyline and that. I was working down there just for a little while, and that's the first time I heard the term DEI. And the sister told me, she said, I'm a diversity and inclusion Negro to handle the nigger problems for the white folks. She told me that at this company downtown. And the sister that I met from Chicago, real fine, one of the finest things I ever seen. She told me she came up here from Chicago, and some white girl with no experience, none, just blonde and present. She took her job in the form of DEI. That's DEI for you. So, yeah. So around late 2011, I think I started doing like some refresh projects. And then early 2012, that was my first Windows 7 migration. So I rolled the Windows 7 wave for years. I just kept going from place to place from pretty much all the insurance companies. Travelers, Medica. The final one was like AIG or whatever. So I'm doing a refresh project now. Back to my roots. I don't mind. See, I like to just come in and do my damn work and keep it moving. That's what I like to do. We're kind of back to that now. Because like today, I just seen there was a remote position for PeopleSoft. So if anybody knows PeopleSoft, ping me. 100% remote. That probably pays $50 an hour. If you know PeopleSoft, I get you in there. PeopleSoft. There's another project, another refresh project in St. Paul. That's probably for Metro Council or something like that. It looks like the same one that I seen months ago. They probably fired a person, or they probably found something else, because some people don't like doing the same thing over and over. Okay, you install Windows 10. Okay, then you put the asset tag on it. Then you do this, and but that's popping now. Windows 11. Windows 11 migrations are still popping. There's still people that's switching over. You see what I'm saying? So, then I seen something else. It was it kind of heated up a little bit, because it was dead for a while. It was dead for a minute. So, things are gonna heat up just a little bit. But there's some product shortages because of this tariff stuff. You see what I'm saying? For some of these laptops and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll get through it or what. But yeah, y'all, that's what happened, man. That's like the details. That's the details without me getting into names and stuff like that. This staffing agency in Vadnais Heights had contracted me to go. It was like a 9-month or a 12-month contract. It was like $17 an hour, the money wasn't no issue for me around that time. You know what I'm saying? Around that time, I mean, you know, because that wasn't all I was doing. I was working, and I was still doing like my PC repair. I still had people from the shop. I was still doing the same thing I was doing in the shop. I never stopped hustling, y'all. I didn't stop fixing on computers until maybe a little before 2015. Maybe a little before 2015 or something like that. Like, I wasn't really doing, or maybe 2014. So I wasn't really doing the repair. I stopped just the regular laptop repairs and viruses and all that. I kind of stopped that stuff. I had stopped that, like, you know, I stopped that around like 2014, 2015. I might did a little in 2015. I don't think I really did too much, because my life was going into a different direction. I started doing the technical training thing. I started getting black folks jobs and training, and I'll get into that at some point. But the tech training positions, somebody's sending me something. The tech training positions, it was like kind of almost like activist work, if you think about it. The hours I put in, the hours and the stuff I was doing for folks, I should have been making 100,000 easy, because I done made companies thousands of dollars. I might have made Minnesota a couple tickets with all the contractors and the people that I put together. But my sole focus was getting black folks to work. You see what I'm saying? That was my main thing. So, you know, a lot of times the staffing agencies, you know, they'll say that they'll, like, when you plug them and you refer them, a lot of times they don't come back and stuff like that. They be playing that type of game. Now, I done gave you a contractor. You probably gonna make $80,000 on this shit, but they don't ever come back. But I got somebody black in, so I just chuck it up. You know what I'm saying? But they supposed to give me like $500 to $1,500 a person. That's really what they supposed to do. You see what I'm saying? They supposed to at least give you like $250 to $500. But a lot of times they ain't never shake back. So, you know, I said, well, at least bro or sis got, you know, at least they got place. They in the game now. So that's how I saw that. But they billing $40, $50, $60, $70 an hour. Because there was a brother, I almost said the staffing agency. I didn't want to say, but there was a brother that was going to get me in on a contract for a place. I didn't take it. I should have did it. But he sent me an email, and I was like, bro, did you send me the wrong thing? Like, how much they charge? Most staffing agencies don't let you do that. They don't want you to know that. He said, all right, we gonna pay you 30 something, and we gonna bill, or it was like 40, or I can't remember how much it was. He said, we gonna bill them 70. You see what I'm saying? We gonna pay you 30 or something like that. Like, he showed me the whole invoice. I thought it was like by accident. Like, man, I said, I don't want you to get in trouble with your job, bro. I think you sent me the wrong invoice. He said, no. He said, I'm showing you what these folks do. So when I looked at it, I said, damn, that's how they really bill. They got to bill because they got employees and stuff like that. And then they got to float it for 3 months, 90 days. That's why some people say, well, why don't you start a staffing agency? Do you got 100 to float? Because when you bill the client don't pay right away. They do stuff called like net 30, net 60, net 90, 3 months. That's common. Staffing agency put you to work. They ain't getting paid for 90 days a lot of times. At least 60. They're not getting paid for 90 days. Now, they got to pay you. So if you don't work out, not only do they have some kind of agreement with the client, but the client is looking at them like, man, you done sent me a janky nigga. You see what I'm saying? You done sent me somebody janky. So they got to find somebody else. There's all kinds of and that's why I told you about that, how TCS works, how they was trying to get us to work 2 weeks for free and all that kind of stuff. You know, they was doing all kind of little stuff. So, like, I mean, that's, you know, it's big business. Managed service and contracting and stuff, that's big business. So if you get a good skill set, you could, you know, You could contract. I mean, I contracted for a long time because I wanted to get exposure to different places. And some of the places that I went to, sometimes it gets, it didn't work out. A lot of times, I think it was a lot of personality issues. The early on in my career, the contracting allowed me to get, a lot of times when I was working some places, I kind of got the feeling that, like, for the rate that I was getting, perm, they feel like they damn near own you. The contract, I just do the contract, I jump on another one. And now I'm building up my experience. Now, long term, people consider that to be a jump around. But when you look in the last 4 years on LinkedIn, they would tell us a lot of times, well, this person's a jumper. Man, go to LinkedIn and look at some of them recruiters and a lot of different people. They jumping. They jumping around, a year here, a year there, a year there. They job jumping. But they telling you, well, your resume looks like this. And I know, I personally believe, I think they do that to black folks a lot of times. They probably do it to other people, but I specifically think they do a lot of that to us. Here's why. We know from research that we've been discriminated against because of names. So if they're going to discriminate against you over a name, you think that they ain't going to play with you about your resume? Because I've seen some people talk about, well, they say, well, your resume, and you say certain things about my resume, and I pulled up their LinkedIn and I said, your resume just like mine. And they didn't have nothing to say. Now, they ain't gonna win you no brownie points. You know what I'm saying? Because the recruiter gonna be like, okay, he's a hard ass. But if you're gonna chastise me and you're not gonna hold up the mirror, we're a reflection of the same image here. I've had the same resume as you, far as positions, right? So, like, a guy asked me, well, you worked at, remember the last position I was at? He said, well, you left that position for a contract. The last position didn't pay nothing. It's going absolutely nowhere. There's nobody that's going to stay for that. I was just trying to mend the fence and just keep afloat. Like I told the brother Mustafa or whatever that I've been working with. Hopefully he's listening. Just grab anything, bro. I know you got a cybersecurity background, but you don't have enough cybersecurity for them to look at you like a CISSP or somebody that's been, dealing with like pen testing and stuff like that. You don't have that, so you just jump on something just to get back to work. That's where we at right now. It's survival time. Just get back to work. And then you could try to get into something else at some other point. You see what I'm saying? So this went on a whole lot longer than I would have thought, y'all, but I think I might edit this. I might just throw it up. But I might edit this. I'm trying to think of anything that y'all might need. I don't think you need no visuals. I'm gonna load this up, man. So that, like I said, that's what happened. These folks, they violated due process, and I won. I just stayed at it. But I didn't sit back and just wait for the money to come. Of course, I went back to work. You know what I'm saying? I went and did what I needed to do. But I just stayed, and people, my homies was like, damn, bro, like, this is taking a long time. I said, man, just wait. Just wait. I said, bro, I got him. And when I showed them the paperwork, they were like, damn, nigga, you done won. Like, you done won a couple lawsuits. Like, damn, like this whole, I said, man, I don't play no games, bro. If you do me wrong on paperwork with due process, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you bad. Yeah, it's a wrap. If you violate my due process rights and I can prove it, you're going to break bread. Because I wouldn't do you that way. This is something you did to me. I'm not running no scam. You violated my rights. I wanted to work. I would much rather work. I would have much rather worked around that time. Like, if them people let me tell you something. If them folks would have called me back, y'all, and said, listen, that case was wrong. Because look, they done put themselves at bay. They went as far to lie. Step by step by step by step. It should have been subversion against the United States. It should have been like a violent all the way to the Supreme Court or something. Like what they did, their company should have went damn near under for that. Because they eventually admitted to what they did to me. That's the sinister part of this. Now, it wasn't racial. I think it was. But that wasn't my claim. My claim was this car accident did this to me and it caused me to have y'all let me go. I think there were some racial elements to it. Number one, when I came in the door, I was warned. I shouldn't have had to deal with that. Hey, you need to watch these folks. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. I'm supposed to be working, right? I'm supposed to be colorblind. I wasn't a DEI hire. You see what I'm saying? I was hired because of my skills, right? Right? But when you got people warning you, letting you know, hey, it ain't that many blacks here. Why not? There's skilled black Americans here in Minnesota that could work here. That could do the same job as everybody else. Right? You don't want them there. So you're preventing them from being there. And other people recognize that. So they're pulling me to the side to let me know that. That wasn't something that I asked for. You see what I'm saying? But that wasn't my claim. My claim was you let me go because you violated my rights due to disability. That's against the law. That's against federal law. You cannot discriminate against somebody because of the disability. You said I had a disability. You said that I cannot work this position even after my doctor said I could. So you said I had a disability. So you got to break bread. You got to pay. Yes, ma'am. You sure do. Yes. If they would have said, look, DP, bygones be bygones. We're going to open up a position for you. Permanent. 70,000. You would have never seen this video. You would have never seen this video. This video would have never even occurred. All them emails and everything, I would have dumped that shit right into the delete button. You wouldn't even heard about this. You wouldn't even known about me. Who's this big head, light-skinned nigga sitting in the dark talking? Oh, that's my homie. That's Jerry. Got a cloud position for that brother. Shout out to him. That's the other position. It was a remote cloud position with Azure. He's certified. So I said, let me send it to this brother in North Carolina real quick. Yeah, so yeah, you wouldn't have heard me. You wouldn't have been seeing my wide head in the dark right here, sitting by this damn closet, waiting for me to get me some chicken wings and garlic and rice. This wouldn't have existed. Because I would have went in there, I would have learned that SCCM, I would have dealt with that janky packaging engineer dude. What's interesting about this story is the coworker that had lied said that my performance was subpar. And what it was is they cobbled up some emails to say that my performance wasn't right. But that went directly against what I told the lawyer. And also the staffing agency eventually admitted that I didn't get hired, that I did not. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all that. The staffing agency early on admitted that I was let go because of a disability. But then they went back to the client and said, hey, send us some emails to say his performance wasn't good. So now that's like double subversion of the law. This actually should have went further than what it did. The little piece of change they gave me, it should have been like quadruple. And somebody should have got fired. Actually, that's subversion against the United States. Violation of due process is subversion against the United States. That's a violation of the Constitution. Y'all ought to be sitting up there in damn it Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, because you subverted the Constitution. You violated due process of the law. That's a constitutional violation of the law. That's sedition against the United States of America. You are a, what do they call those people? That's like a not a rat or a mole. You're a Y'all help me out in the comments. You're like a, I forgot what it is, but it's like you a spy, not a spy, but something like, you know, you against us. And you did it to a freedman. Yeah. Federally designated. Not status correction, not plebiscite babble. I'm a foundational black American. I am a freedman. Yeah. I'm supposed to have equal, like super equal protection under the law. You did it to a freedman. Let me add that up in there. We supposed to be in a protected class. We're not, but I'm just saying, like, yes, folks are supposed to be walking around in handcuffs. They supposed to be in there with Diddy. They supposed to be up in there. They supposed to be up in there eating them little cherry, them little apple, them janky county jail apple cherry bars with P. Diddy. That's what they supposed to be doing. Yeah, you violated the Constitution. And see, this wasn't no little penny ante people. These were project managers and people with power that were making money. These weren't just no little help desk type, Rudy Poo type. These were people that had positions, coveted positions that should have held a higher regard for policy. See, even though I'm a contractor, the client still has to adhere to policy. You can't violate somebody's rights just because they're a contractor. You can let them go because it's at will. You can do that, but you can't violate their rights. You can't just say, for example, I can't just pull up on an illegal and pistol whip them. You ain't supposed to be in this country. Take your ass back to where you came from and build your homeland. I can't do that. There's human rights. Like, okay, man, dude, that's inhumane. You know, you're taking your personal opinion and you pistol whipping them. Go back and build your homeland and New Jack City pistol whip them. I can't do that. That's not right. Y'all know that's not right. You laugh. Stop laughing. Y'all laughing with me and stuff. You know that's not right. You can't do that. You can't just attack people and stuff. That's still a violation of their rights. They have some human rights. Now, whether you say, well, they ain't supposed to be on this land. Yeah, but they're still a human being. You can't just beat them up just because you don't want them to be here. And that's my whole point. I'm a contractor. I'm like an illegal alien, right? You can't just beat me up and push me around and violate company policy and violate employment practices, ethics, laws, and violate my rights. You can't do that. And that's what they did. But, you know, I'm here to tell the story, y'all. So, but yeah, Department of Labor, Department of Human Rights, EEOC, if you feel like you've been violated in a certain way, and you talk to unemployment, you're telling them, they're going to tell you the same thing. I just followed it because at first I told unemployment, like, man, just give me my bread. And the unemployment lady was like, hey, this ain't right. You need to file a claim to the Department of Labor and at least ask them to give you, ask them. She said, did you reach out to them and ask for the reason? I said, yes. And I said, it's through email. She said, that's written. She said, okay, you need to ask the Department of Labor and make a request. So they ask them because because I told them they're not responding and all that. She said, don't worry about it. They got 30 days to respond to the Department of Labor. They got 30 days. They gonna respond to them, and damn it, they did. They responded to the Department of Labor quick. Wasn't no damn 30 days. They got to it because that's the law. You gotta respond to the Department of Labor. Now, you could have just responded to me, but you gotta respond to the Department of Labor. So they told them about, they didn't want to lie to them right off the rip, but they start showing rebuttals from the client, trying to protect the client. Because they done kind of got hot water on what they did. You see what I'm saying? So, they wouldn't tell me about the disability. It was over the phone. So, yeah. DP1. Yeah, when I fight cases like that, y'all, I win them. All of them. All of them. Any cases or any when somebody pulls that on me, because not only do I know the law, I know how to word the stuff. And then we got Chat GP. We got Brother Chat. Oh, man, please. Let somebody play around with this due process. And old Donald don't mess with the due process. Now, if Donald starts messing with the Constitution, I don't know, I'm going to some problems. But yeah, let Donald keep that concept, that fifth and 14th up in there and see what happens. Play with me if you want to. Yeah, I'll Thurgood marshal you to death. Fourth, that 5th and 14th, all day. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it. I pay for it. I'm a taxpayer. So, yeah, we're gonna do. I've been going on 50 damn minutes. This is supposed to only be 15 minutes, y'all, but I ain't gonna break it down. I'm gonna upload it. Hey, look. Check out the Adventures of DP. I'm finding old story times where I just kind of threw them all in story times. I might put those in Adventures of DP because that's the adventures. Yeah, I'm walking you through my whole career, and I appreciate y'all taking the journey. Cause see, this journey that I'm talking about, this isn't a babbling, complaining journey. This is just we talking black. This is what we deal with on a regular basis as black folks. This is what we see in all lines, not just IT. I'm talking to y'all as a black person. I'm not pulling a Roland in a Richard Spencer. Are you a black man? No, I'm a Christian. I'm black. You see what I'm saying? All that other stuff. No, I'm black. Because that's how folks deal with me. So I'm coming from the black American experience. And I'm not afraid to say that. And, you know, we have to keep speaking facts and truth to power about our experiences. So when people try to change and redirect history, no, we done documented this, and we're passing oral tradition. That's what we're doing. We're passing oral tradition of what we deal with and how technology and just the workplace and all that, how that affects us. It's not a place to get up and just bellyache. Yeah, this is a story. This is what happened. People wanted to know, like, man, how'd this come about? That's how it came about. All right, y'all, I'm uploaded. We'll get to the next story.